What this also does for recruiters is it ensures that the interviews actually go well, which looks good on you. It also creates a really good relationship with candidates so that if things don't end up working out, they still appreciate what you have done for them. You have created value in that person's life. So if they end up having someone that is looking for a job that is a really great candidate, they will remember you and they will refer you. In terms of hiring managers and clients, this leaves a really good impression because then you are sending candidates that are actually really good interviewers. And this makes you look really good as a recruiter as well. So this is essentially where you can create a lot of value as a recruiter. And this also minimizes your risk because interviewing, this is where everything can fall apart.
Initiating becoming a hiring machine sequence in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, it's Sam Keenley and welcome to Becoming a Hiring Machine. This is the show dedicated to fixing recruitment by going beyond saying what needs to change and instead teaches you how to make the change. Today, we have an amazing Tactical Tuesday ahead of us, but before we get into that, I want to tell you a little bit about the show. Essentially, we have shows within the show. Sometimes we're going to have interviews with thought leaders and others who are shaking up the space, and they're going to teach you how to do something that they do that's helped them be successful. Other days, we're going to cover trending topics, items that recruiters are talking about or will be very soon, and what those mean for them. Every Tuesday, like today, we'll drop a Tactical Tuesday episode where we go deep on how to do something that's going to help you drive better results in your day-to-day. Sometimes we're going to open it up for Q&A. Listeners can drop in questions that they'd like to hear us take on. Send those over to us at podcast@loxo.co. And occasionally you're going to hear a mic drop episode from Matt, where he shares something that's been bouncing around in his head about the recruitment space and things that you need to know about. So enough of the intro. For today's Tactical Tuesday, we have Vivien Maron joining us again as our resident expert living at the intersection of all things recruitment and ChatGPT. Today will be a part 1 of a 3-episode miniseries on interview prep. So nearly every interviewer approaches candidate interview prep differently, but Vivien has cracked the code on the best way to set yourself and your candidates up for success. Today, she's going to walk us through general best practices in creating an email that not only confirms interview details, but also goes above and beyond to provide interview prep tips and supporting documents that are going to help your candidate nail that first interview with the hiring company. So on that note, let's jump into it with Vivien. Vivien, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me again. So like Sam said, today we're actually going to cover how to create an interview prep email template as well as some supporting documents so that once you actually have an interview confirmed with a hiring manager and your candidate, you can send the confirmation email about the date, time, and place, whether that is Zoom, in person, or over a phone call. And you can actually add some attachments as a PDF to kind of include some interview prep materials. So this could be more specifically about how to kind of best practices for phone interviews, for video interviews in person, and then obviously some interviewing techniques, as well as some suggested questions to bring. A lot of times hiring managers also want to hear candidates ask questions, but by the end of the interview, candidates are so overwhelmed and kind of a bundle of nerves that they just forget all of these. So if we can kind of prep them beforehand, we can make sure that they ask questions at the end to leave a good impression. What this also does for recruiters is that it ensures that the interviews actually go well, which looks good on you. It also creates a really good relationship with candidates so that if things don't end up working out, they still appreciate what you have done for them. You have created value in that person's life. So if they end up having someone that is looking for a job that is a really great candidate, they will remember you and they will refer you. In terms of hiring managers and clients, this leaves a really good impression because then you are sending candidates that are actually really good interviewers. And this makes you look really good as a recruiter as well. So this is essentially where you can create a lot of value as a recruiter. And this also minimizes your risk because interviewing, this is where everything can fall apart. You can have the perfect candidate that you found. You can be super excited about them. And then all of a sudden they just spaced out, completely blank when they show up to that interview, stumbling upon words, and it's just not good. So we can kind of do something to prevent that. So ChatGPT, as always, can help us with that. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to introduce ourselves, as always, and say we are an agency recruiter. And essentially, we would like to create an interview preparation package for candidates and ensure that everything goes smoothly. So the first thing that ChatGPT essentially is going to do is it's going to create a whole list of different interviewing tips. So the ones that ChatGPT recommends here is an introduction and overview which is essentially a brief introduction, welcoming the candidate to the interview preparation package. Then it kind of dives a little bit deeper into make sure that you research the company as well as understand the company and the role that you are interviewing for. Kind of address some common interview questions, use the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and result to answer questions more effectively. It addresses asking questions, body language, mock interviews, interview logistics, the whole 9 yards. So this is a high level kind of summary of what it can do, but we want to create something that is a little bit more comprehensive and in detail. So we're going to start out by asking ChatGPT to say that you would like to create an interview package specifically for different interview formats and some of the things to keep in mind. So there's different best practices and etiquette when it comes to phone interviews versus in-person or video interviews. So this is where ChatGPT can create a little guide for you. So here it's creating one for phone interviews, in-person interviews, and video interviews. So for video interviews, it's suggesting test your technology, choose a well-lit neutral background, still dress professionally, make sure that that you position the camera at eye level and that you maintain eye contact with the camera and don't just look at yourself. And then make sure that you don't have any interruptions from pets, family members, that your audio is good and things like that. Same thing with in-person interviews. Make sure that you arrive 10 to 15 minutes early. All of these kinds of things that are incredibly helpful. And then some general tips to make sure that you research the company and the role, practice answering some common questions and things like that. So here we want to dig a little bit deeper. And next up, we want to create an interview package specifically to address some other things that ChatGPT suggested, such as specific ways to research the company, common interview questions, behavioral questions that hiring managers can ask, as well as highlighting specific achievements that would be beneficial to mention in this particular interview. And this is where ChatGPT creates another guide that you can then copy and paste as a PDF and attach it to the interview prep email. So one of the things that ChatGPT here is suggesting is research the company, and more specifically gives you the tools and some suggestions on how to start doing that by exploring the company's website, mission statement, and core values, to look up recent news articles, press releases, and updates about the company, to check out their product, services, and market position, to check out the company's culture by looking into their social media and how people are kind of engaging with the company and the brand as a whole. Then kind of practicing how would you answer, tell me about yourself, what are your strengths and weaknesses, as well as behavioral questions such as understanding the STAR method, how it would apply for this particular position, and highlighting achievements, body language, dressing, and some follow-up questions. And so here we have something that is a little bit generic. So you can always follow up with ChatGPT and say, this is a great start, but I would like for you to dig a little bit deeper and give specific suggestions on what follow-up questions I can ask. So here we're going to say, please make this more specific. By suggesting questions the candidate can ask at the end of the interview and provide examples for each of your tips. This needs to be a comprehensive and in-depth guide. And here ChatGPT is providing some more examples. So it is saying for researching the company, you can then in the interview actually say, I noticed on your website that your company recently expanded its product line. How has this expansion impacted the overall growth strategy and market positioning of the company? So these are some great questions that you can ask that really show that the candidate has done their research, is really interested in the company, and is trying to get a better understanding for what the company actually needs and how the candidate could fit into that and help with addressing any of these things. And you can do a back and forth with ChatGPT, give it feedback and say, you know what, I know a little bit more about the STAR method, and you can add some of your input about the STAR method specifically. And then you can tell ChatGPT, can you please include that? Because it really does start off as a high level kind of summary with some tips and examples. But this is going to be better when you, as a recruiter with experience, can kind of chime in a little bit more specific things that you've been experiencing over time. And when you are ready to have these guides ready, you can copy them and paste them into Canva, make this a really beautiful template that you save as a PDF and then can add as an attachment to interview prep emails. And once all of this is done, you can then ask ChatGPT to create an interview prep email template that confirms the interview date and time and all of the interviews, and that it also has some attachments that can be helpful for the prep. So here we have all of this, and this kind of concludes what we're going to talk about today. And next week, we're going to dive a little bit more deeper into some of these things. In general, this is something that is best done once you have confirmed the interview. You send that email out with the attachments. If you don't like the email that ChatGPT suggests, you can always say, make this more friendly, add some spice to it. It will add emojis into there. It seems to really like rockets. We can actually test this out. Great email, but please spice it up a bit. And let's see how it spices it up. Oh, there we go. Get ready to shine. Interview confirmation inside with a star emoji. So it does like to spice things up a little bit. And it even said, we've crafted a top secret dossier with all the insider tips and tricks you'll need to ace the interview. Peek inside the attached PDF to uncover our secrets for success. So ChatGPT does have a little bit of personality. So obviously this is something candidates will be excited to see. They will definitely want to check out that top secret dossier that you attached as a PDF. Feel free to use Canva to really spice it up and make it visually very appealing as opposed to just a boring Word document. And then best practice would also be to kind of set up a 30-minute interview prep phone call the day before the interview. And that way you could kind of address the more specific questions that the candidate has. And this is also a really good time to kind of check in and see, is this candidate really excited about the opportunity? If so, they would have gone through the interview prep, they would have started researching the company, and they would have come with some additional questions for clarification to you during the interview prep. So this is a great way to kind of gauge the temperature and see how this interview potentially might go. And next week, we're going to talk about customizing this a little bit more, specifically for executive search firms. Executive search firms, they pride themselves in that white glove, very tailored approach. And so ChatGPT can help create interview prep specific to the candidate, to the company, and to the position. And instead of this being something that takes hours to take, you just create one template and you adjust it for the candidate. And it is something that was going to be really exciting and can change the game for you.
I love it. This is incredible. So much value right here. And I can't wait to go deeper with you in part 2 and part 3 of this, especially. So phenomenal, as we say, like, general best practices, great place to start. I mean, I know personally, anecdotally, I can speak to so many times when I'm heading into an interview and I have no idea what to ask, how to prepare for it. So being able to provide these just from the candidate experience side it's absolutely incredible. And from the hiring manager, it's like, okay, cool. This person they're buttoned up, they're polished. They can be a great potential fit for the team. So win-win-win all around. I can't wait. So Vivien, thank you as always for this. And for those listening, as always, we'll get this over in video format as well. So be sure to watch the full thing if you want to see some of the visuals. But Vivien, I feel like I should almost call you co-host at this point for how often you've been on and will continue to be on. So thank you again for coming on to join us on the show. How you share this knowledge with us, it helps us all grow as recruiters. And I know it's going to help inspire some to start including this and incorporating it in their day-to-day moving forward. So everyone, that's a show. That's a Tactical Tuesday with Vivien. Until next time.